And welcome back, Spitball Cinema. And today we're going with that ever big Hollywood classic. That's right, everybody's favorite asthma-induced villain. It's Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back.
Luke, I am not your father.
Oh, good lord!
I'm
Yeah, I was
just
hoping we'd at least get like some music, like some dun dun
dun,
dun dun
dun,
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 you know,
dun,
something with the
dun.
Imperial March, which was just like the best. So, but anyway, Empire Strikes Back. We had some people asking about doing more Star Wars themed things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about the original Star Wars a few episodes ago. So Empire Strikes Back, number 2 as far as we're concerned, in the world of Star Wars movies. So I don't know. What do you think? What was your first
Well,
experience with that one?
some people might not know that George Lucas did not direct this movie.
That's why it's good.
It was directed by
Erwin Winkler.
who also directed.
I can't remember.
Oh shit. I'm thinking of the James Bond director.
Yeah, you jacked it up, so just keep going.
But yeah,
Is it Erwin? It was Erwin Winkler. Right?
no, I think it's Kirshner. I think.
Kirshner. Yeah. I don't know. Who cares? Let's just go with the.
I think
He
it's the
did-
perfect time for
he did-
we're discussing a new idea on the show. Every show at the end, we're going to be having Dave's final thoughts.
How about deep thoughts with Dave?
Oh, we can do that. Dave Handy.
Dave Andy. Yeah, there you go. Well, nope, because we've got Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, which was, to me, I don't recall
What year did it
a
come out?
lot of.
Was it 82?
Oh, not sure.
81, Jamie? Can you look that up for us?
Yeah.
It's like 1980. Yeah.
Seriously, came out in 80?
Yeah,
Wow.
it came out in 1980.
Damn.
But see, I just don't remember at the time there being a lot of movies with sequels.
You know what? I think you're right. Or at least something.
Unless it was like a serialized thing, like a Godzilla film or something along those lines. I just don't remember there being big, huge movies
Yeah.
that would spin off a sequel.
Yeah, Alien didn't have one till 89.
86. I think.
Yeah. Maybe you're right on that. Grease
Could be
2
dyslexic,
came
just
out,
flipped.
though.
Yeah.
Hey, I want a cool rider.
Well, I just remember being incredibly excited with
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that the story was continuing.
Yeah.
Which was just, to me, that was the cool part. It was like, oh, wait a minute, I got all my little Star Wars figures, I got all of my stuff. It's like, and then there's gonna be more. So it was just that promise of that more aspect of Star Wars, which, young me really got a kick out of.
Yeah. I remember, I think I saw that at a Bannister Mall. But yeah, when at the end when he says, Luke, I'm your father, everybody in the theater just you could have heard a pin drop because you heard everybody's chin drop to the floor like, huh?
Yeah.
But I loved it. I think I even liked it more than the original.
Yeah, it's my favorite of the Star Wars
Yeah, and
movies. Definitely.
and I loved Lando Calrissian. I thought he was just the coolest dude in the world. And then when he opens up that door and you see Vader, and you're like, "What? No!"
Well, honestly, for me,
And then everybody started cheering when we finally figured out that he's like gonna go and help them get them all back. And
yeah.
of course,
Well, to me, the cool part was just the beginning when you had, the Hoth and the whole snow planet.
yeah,
And they're shooting all the little droids out, trying to, the little,
all the scouters.
like, yeah, they're kind of going out there trying to find out where that base is. And you wind up on Hoth, and here's everybody in the snow. You have the stop motion animation tauntauns that they're running around on.
Yeah.
You've got, it's almost like trench warfare. You had like the trenches, where eventually you get the, the rebels are kind of hiding in these little snow trenches with the big turrets up above.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really slick. It had that World War II vibe, that Lucas was always trying to go for. He always liked the old war films and things, and so
Yeah.
to me, just that whole setup where it was just super cold at night, and you've got that early story where Luke gets taken out. He's injured, he's gone. Han's going to look for him. They got to shut the doors. And, you got Chewbacca just sitting there
Oh
doing that,
yeah.
just that
Yeah.
mournful cry, and then 3PO's like popping off his statistics of whether they're gonna live or not. But just that big ass little Yeti thing. What were those things called? Wampas.
Wampas, yeah.
So that big Wampa, because Luke's just running along in his in his tauntaun, and that Wampa thing just comes up and whomps him just right upside the head.
He shows him
and
the
he's-
pimp hand.
Oh yeah, and here's this thing, it's in the background, it's munching on the dead tauntaun.
Yeah.
Luke's feet are frozen. He's got this lightsaber over there, and you didn't know what all the Force abilities were. You really didn't. All you knew about was here's Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of talking in your head, and that's all that you really know about Jedi. And then when he's sitting there and he's like reaching out and he's focusing, and you see that lightsaber just twitching in the snow, you're like, oh, he's gonna escape, and it's like, boom, he gets that and cuts off the Wampa's arm and makes it out into the snow, and you're like, hey, and then you're like, uh-oh, because
Did
it's
you
like
think he
right
wasn't-
into the.
Did you think he wasn't going to escape, and that'd be the end of the?
Hey, you never knew.
No, but you know what? They did a great job. As far as plot armor goes, they did a great job in actually having a main character get knocked on his heels early in a show. They had him in a Bacta tank after they finally got him back.
Yeah.
He was beat up. He wasn't in very good shape.
Well, yeah, he was frozen until Solo put him inside the tauntaun.
Yep.
You know why they did that, though, right? Because he got scarred in real life from a car accident.
Oh, I
Yeah,
kind
that's
of forgot
right.
about that. Yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of explained that one.
It's because they're like, you got a whole bunch of scars on your face. What the F, dude? And they're like, great, now we're going to have to rewrite this shit. So let's say you got attacked by a big monster.
Yeah,
And it worked.
There you go.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of interesting because, like, when I remember reading the novel at the time, the Empire Strikes Back novel, and
Did those things have more info about the story than the movie? Or?
they did actually, because there's like a whole bunch of Wampas that actually like invade the base. They attack the base at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Would've
they
been
wind up.
cool.
Yeah, they kind of wind up attacking the base when the Empire's invading, and so they kind of have them
Oh,
closed
man.
off in this one section, and the Empire basically opens it up, and they just get flooded with Wampas just coming in. The
Oh,
Wampas are just, like,
man.
attacking the snowtroopers.
God, that would have been cool.
But the snowtroopers, I thought, were the coolest
Yeah.
thing. They had the little flat front masks
Yeah.
and the hoods and everything else. I always wanted a snowtrooper outfit. I always thought that would be just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think there's a group up in Minnesota that does snowtroopers for the 501st, the charity group. They got a couple of them, a couple of the guys up there. They always look so good.
Yeah, Shane and a lot of people dress up in costumes, and they go to children's hospitals and entertain the sick kids and stuff, which is a very cool, very, very, very cool thing to do. And these aren't like, crap, costumes. These people really take time and spend a lot of money on their outfits and the weaponry and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah. Haven't been able to do it in a while. Kind of lost a little bit of interest when after Disney took everything over. It was just hard to get interested in going, and it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't feel the same. But going to the hospitals and stuff was always a little rough. But I used to go
yeah.
and do that. I had a little Ithorian Jedi costume, and my wife was like, well, I want a costume too, but don't spend a lot of money, because the wife doesn't want you to spend money on anything because she's smarter than me. But yes, I'm like, well, look, you got to meet a certain standard. These costumes have to be detailed. They got to be, screen accurate. She's like, okay, all right, well, don't spend more than like $40. And I'm like, look, I can,
Yeah.
you let me have like 120, and I can do it. And she's like, okay, fine. So it took several weeks, and I had to find someone to help do all the sewing and everything else. And I'm sitting with my hot glue gun, and I'm doing all these things. And I get it all done. I'm all excited. And I'm like, all right, your costume is ready. And she's like, is it a princess? And I'm like, no, you don't get to be a princess for $120.
Yeah.
No. So I made her Jawa because she's all of 5'1". So she's like Jawa.
Oh, that's so
and she
cute.
was just like, oh, no, I don't want to be a Jawa. That sucks.
Yeah.
No one can see my face. Blah, 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 blah. I said, it'll be great. You'll love it. It'll be fun. And the first event that she did had this little boy just walk up to her and he just staring at her.
Aw.
And just staring. And the dad comes up and he goes, I'm so sorry. He just really loves Jawas. And this kid lunges and just gives her this huge hug.
Oh,
You know,
dude.
and so she's, not talking. She's just being a Jawa. She's making little noises and stuff. And then the kid leaves and she's just like, oh my gosh, I understand why you do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
That's
it's really
awesome.
cool. But yeah, but that was one of the things that, just whenever I look at a lot of the Star Wars movies in my head, it's always like, ooh, how did they do those costumes? How did they do, all the different, little pieces and things.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a lot of the practical effects. Even like the Wampa, that's a pretty good sized suit to be putting together. Jim Henson Studios, were kind of involved in some of those things,
Yep.
and they just did such a great job. But the whole Wampa, the whole snow scene, the whole Hoth battle, amazing. They got the walkers, they're like giant dinosaurs lumbering through the snow.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Well, that
Yeah, it
part
was-
where they're flying around and putting those cables around the legs.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
because nothing else was even scratching them. They couldn't figure out how
Yeah.
to bring them down.
And I mean, people in the theater, I remember just going nuts when they saw that. They were like, "Yeah!"
Yeah, it
so
was a
cool.
great, the first few scenes of the movie were just, it was really,
Oh, it was intense.
really intense. It drew you in. You knew you were going to be in for a good ride, that it was going to add.
Yeah. Well, because
That's
you get Luke, and he's the big hero from the Death Star and everything else, and I mean, gets beat up by a Wampa.
Yeah.
Gets he's in his he's in his little snow speeder and stuff, and the guy behind him, is like Dak or something like that. He gets killed. He gets shot, and then crushed by a one of those big AT-ATs. And and then finally, Luke gets up there and you see when he's got that little grappling hook, he goes up and he cuts open the hatch with
his
a lightsaber, chucks
yeah.
a grenade in there and just blows the whole thing.
So
I mean,
cool.
just great scenes.
Well, and you forget about, we haven't talked about when he was, when he got stuck out in the snow, when he was out in the snow before Han came and rescued him.
Saw the ghost of
after he
right.
escapes. He's kind of dying there, and then Obi-Wan appears to him and tells him that he needs to go and train with Yoda, the Jedi Master that taught him.
Yeah.
Ben comes, and then here comes Solo.
Yeah, dude, that was a big pop. Everybody was like going, yeah.
Well, and that's the first time
And
you see
then
the whole
when
Force
the-
Ghost thing, too.
Right, it's the first time you
with,
see
Yeah.
the ghost
Alec
thing.
Guinness, which was really cool.
And of course, when
Yeah.
he takes the lightsaber and opens up that tauntaun, everybody's like, oh.
Yeah, the blue
Yeah.
intestines and stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's set up. Yeah, it set up the rest of the movie. Gives him a reason for kind of leaving everybody else and kind of striking out on
Right.
his own, which kind of strands, the rebels. They kind of lose their person, that was like their big rallying point. Now he's just like, sorry, I gotta go. Catch up to you later.
Yeah.
And so he's
See ya,
out of there.
suckers.
Well, they kind of all spread out
All right,
after the Empire.
that's my big question
attack
to you
them.
guys. Do you hate it when movies do that?
What?
Like, have the main characters split and do their own thing?
No,
For a while
not on this
throughout
one.
the
I
movie.
didn't. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it because it was the story. It
Right.
made sense.
Yeah, and
because Luke had to go off on his own to
find out more.
Yeah, to find out more and train and stuff.
Yeah.
And then with the story kind of continuing with everybody else. Plus, it gave the the Han Leia, kind of situation. Let that kind of
Right.
blossom a little bit without that third wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because we're talking Empire, so it's the kissing scene. Where
Yeah.
she kind of wants to make Han jealous and gives Luke a big kiss. you know,
Yeah.
and Luke's just sitting there going, "Oh yeah,"
Yeah.
It's like he
Yeah.
gets
Then
that look on his
Chewbacca
face.
goes,
Yeah, he's like, laugh it up, fuzzball. You know, it's like, yeah, it was just good. But yeah, but when they separated them out like that, the writing is done well. They bring them back together.
That's true.
They tie it all in, and then everybody comes back together at the end, and it's exciting because they're trying to rescue Luke, or or at least help
Well,
him.
before you get to that, though, I mean, one of my favorite parts is the training that he goes through with
Yeah,
Yoda.
that's
when Yoda's
yeah.
on, when he's running through the, it's not a jungle. It's
Pretty much a
it's
jungle.
kind of a
There's
jungle or
swamp
swamp.
and jungle.
Yeah,
swamp,
I mean,
yeah.
Swampy jungle.
And Yoda's on his back, and Yoda's whispering things into his ear, trying to get his mind right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing
And
that
it was
with,
cool because like his eyes like kept moving.
yeah.
Like I think it had to have been remote control.
And then
wasn't it?
Luke like a kid, when he says, "But why?" He goes, "No, there is no why, no why." Clear your mind. There's no why. Don't try to figure out why we're doing this. Just take the training. Listen to what I'm telling you.
You know what part I loved between those two, those two is when like Yoda's going through all of his stuff and Luke's like, "Don't touch that, give me that," and then
Yeah, he's all pissed
Yoda's
off.
like, "Oh, because
Yeah.
he gonna take it away from him."
Yeah.
He's wrestling R2 for the for like the flashlight or
And
something.
then,
Yeah.
Like,
then like after it's all said and done, he turns to the camera kind of and he needs to learn patience or whatever.
No, well, Luke gets mad and he throws something, and,
Yeah.
and then Yoda says, "I can't train
That's
him.
it,
I can't
yeah.
train him." And then you hear Obi-Wan's voice
No.
come in, and
Yeah.
it says,
He's
what,
a
what-
young
what-
boy. You gotta
Can
like
you not for 5 seconds?
fucking train
We
in the
need your
door.
freaking sound effects.
I'm trying to
I
give
mean,
some context too.
You're just
I'm
annoying
just
is what
you know the
are,
people who've
okay?
seen it. They're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's when he comes in and goes."
everybody is running through the lines in their heads at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
You know?
Well, thanks for that, Dave.
But you know what? The fact that they were able to take a puppet for all intent and purposes
Yeah.
and make it look like a real character with real emotions.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
should
they
have
did
been
such
nominated
an
for an actor.
amazing job on that because you get this, kind of quirky, silly character. Ooh, take you to him, I will. And he's doing all the
Yeah.
stuff, and then just on a dime, he's just like, I can't train this kid, and you
Yeah.
can tell that he
I
was
mean, it's just.
it's like an act,
You
and
can tell,
he just
yeah.
snaps into
It just
like
snaps into
master mode, and
serious,
he's
yeah.
just like, no, this isn't gonna work.
And he's
What
telling
you
him he's
bring
too
me,
too
you know?
old, too old.
Yeah.
swallow their robots.
Right?
So we're Ewoks. Is that what you just
Unreal.
said? I don't know what that was.
Anyway.
but I mean, they did such a great job with Yoda. and
When Frank
just
Oz's
selling him.
voice, the way,
It was a little close to Grover, but it was
Yeah.
it was so good.
I never
That's
even thought
true.
of that.
Oh yeah,
God, yeah.
but it was just so well done. It was just so
Yeah.
well done, and
Well, and Yoda was it was an interesting character to introduce into the Star Wars. Because nobody knew about
Oh,
Yoda
yeah.
in the first one.
Oh,
So
no.
this was
I
a
mean, you fell in love
cool
with him.
character to introduce to the universe.
Yeah. Well, you had to have the, because this is also when you kind of find out about the Emperor, and so
Right.
you get that, okay, well, here's your Emperor, your big bad guy. Well, here's Yoda, who was really kind of your big good guy. He was the one teaching everybody.
Right.
Now they don't really cement that at that point in time, but you get
Right.
those two sides, those two parallels of here's the higher instructors working with the different characters. So
Right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
plus for young kids, they fall in love with him like instantly, because he's a green little alien looking thing that sounds like Gonzo. I mean, or
yeah.
Grover.
No, I
Yeah.
remember I had my little Yoda action figure and stuff, and I remember
Oh, yeah.
when they finally had like the lightsabers,
That
the
came out of
clear
their
plastic
arms.
ones.
Yeah.
I would like snip down the lightsaber just to make a short one and just stick it in Yoda's hand just because I could. You're like, he needs a lightsaber, but you don't see that
Yeah.
for decades later. But
Yeah.
but just such a great character in the way, like you said, the way that he's teaching Luke And it's one of the things that they really missed when they did The Force Awakens. You know, not to skip too far ahead or bring in the Disney side of things, but the training wasn't there.
No.
That
it should have been.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the mistakes along the way,
Yeah.
and the leaving before you were complete, and you know
Yeah.
it really, you know, because Yoda's not wrong. You're like, you know,
No.
you're not ready for this,
Right.
you know, and he's not.
That's
he barely
one
gets
thing
out
that
of it
disappointed me
alive.
about that too. They should have had more of Luke training her. You know, and that's in another.
Yeah,
Another
that's a
movie.
whole other thing. But
But Yoda, you know, when the part where, you know, the thing about Luke though is, even though Yoda, you know, you think he would be listening more to Yoda, but he's got this stuff in him, because Yoda's, every time he tells him to do something, he kind of fights and goes against it. Like when he goes down, when Yoda tells him he doesn't need his weapons to go down into that dark side tunnel or wherever.
Right, right.
You know, what does Luke do? He kind of says, you know, he blows him off and takes his weapons anyway. You know,
yeah,
and then, you know, he kind of keeps failing on stuff because he won't listen to Yoda. It's like he doesn't have, he believes, but he doesn't have that true faith yet in the Force. You
yeah,
know?
that's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah.
because it really is. You know, they refer to it as a religion, and they refer to it as a, you know, mystical things, but really it's just, you know, Yoda just tell him, hey, you just take with you what you need. You know, you don't need your weapons.
Right.
You know, you're going in there, just go in there.
Yeah.
You know, but he's not. He's got this fighting mentality. You
Yeah.
know, that he's been brought into.
It's like a child not listening to their parent.
Yeah.
When their parents telling them to do something because it's for their own good, you know.
Yeah.
And he has this kind of defiance about it. He hasn't really, you know, like you say, he believes, but he still is kind of hesitant. It's not 100%.
Yeah, which is why, of course, Yoda just kind of looks down at the ground and shuffles his feet.
Yeah,
and he's kind of like,
shaking his head. It's
all
like,
right, well, have fun in there, cause,
Yeah.
you know.
and then when the
But that freaked me out when Vader came out.
when Vader came back, it was spooky.
It
when
was.
He went down there. And then the thing that you didn't understand at the time is when Luke, you know, he takes out his lightsaber and he has this fight with the fake Vader down there, and he cuts his head off, and then the mask explodes, and you look and you see Luke's face down in Vader's mask.
Yeah.
And at the time, you're like, what is this all about? But it's foreshadowing what we're going to find out at the end of the movie, why that's happening, right? I mean,
there's two ways of looking at it. There's some people that look at it like, okay, well, you know, it's like you're fighting yourself because you're fighting your family, you know, because it's his father.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's also, this is what's going to happen to you because you're not prepared. You know, you're going to wind up the one on the ground.
okay.
You know,
you think that, Dave?
you're
You think
kind of failing this one. So
you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you could see it those ways.
well, how'd you look at it?
Maybe it was like that thing was put in there to mess with his mind, to scare him, of like, you know, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's just a you're not ready kind of situation.
Well,
It's
I
just-
still think it's more than that. I think it's Lucas kind of giving you a hint that, you know, that he's, like you said, he's going to end up that way if he doesn't, you know, he's basically going to end up like his father.
yeah,
you know what I
like
mean?
later on, like
Yeah,
in Return of the Jedi, you know, and he looks at his
Right.
hand and he's like, ooh.
But what I'm, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's kind of I think it just kind of gives you a hint of what's to come, and especially if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, he could end up like Anakin,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, which is just so good. When later on when he finally leaves, you know, there's always a scene, you know, the do or do not, there is no try, and the
Right, that's one of
brings
my
out
favorite.
the X-wing and everything. But for me, it's when Obi-Wan and Yoda are basically trying to argue with Luke and get him to stay.
Right.
You know, and they're like, you gotta, you know, yeah, we're sorry your friends are being tortured, They're being tortured because they're trying to get you. So you need to stay
Yeah.
here if you really value their sacrifice.
That's why the Emperor is making them suffer to draw you out.
Right.
And he's trying to trick you into coming out here.
Yeah.
And he said, remember what Luke says, what? And sacrifice my, and he said, if you, what did he say? If you value their, Yoda says something to that effect. Yes, you know, they should be sacrificed if it's for the greater cause, is basically what he's saying.
Right.
The
You know.
greater good.
Huh?
The great. It's just,
Get the greater good.
Deep.
The greater good.
so then you go on into the next part of the movie is Han and Leia and 3PO and Chewie and all them, you know, running away from the Empire and then they try to lose them in that force field.
It kind of goes back and forth, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The
I
scenes flip
forgot
back
about
and
that,
forth
dude.
because it's the whole chase scene. Because they have the ion cannon on Hoth, and that knocks out one of the Star Destroyers, and that's where they're able to get the ships through. But they've got to get Leia out, kind of at the last minute. And so they're trying to escape, and then the hyperdrive's not working, so they're taking the
Then
slow
we
route.
forgot to mention that one of the Han was going to leave. And
Yeah.
at the Hoth, he was going to leave because Jabba the Hutt and go pay his debt to Jabba the
I
Hutt.
gotta go pay it.
Because he owes
Got the
Jabba.
bounty on him, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bounty on him. He said, I got to take care of this. So he's going to leave, but then they get attacked. And he said, I'll get the princess out. And then that's where you get that
Yeah, the
The
really
little
long chase scene.
long chase.
If you think
Yeah.
about it, it's a heck of a long chase scene.
Yeah.
They're really hunting them down.
Yeah.
And then they go through the asteroid field, which was just insane.
Yeah.
The time you had like the video game asteroids, with the little
Yeah.
triangle.
Yeah.
And you're like pew pew pew.
Yeah, the way
pew,
they
pew,
showed that Millennium
But the-
Falcon flying and then doing the maneuvers.
Oh
and
yeah,
it going, almost hitting the asteroids and one bumping it, as it,
yeah. Taking out the radar.
yeah.
and
Vader's really trying to get them hard. I mean, he's after
Oh, yeah.
them big time because
But there's been such a huge leap also in the special effects. They didn't
Right.
have them making
Yeah.
those banking turns and those big swings like
big
that.
time from Star
Yeah.
Wars to Empire is big different. Lucas really had,
Yeah, he pushed the envelope on,
Yeah,
the,
he
on the
did.
special effects.
Yeah, that was cool when they chose that one asteroid and you see the Falcon just kind of like fly around it
yeah.
and then it goes.
does that
There's a
loop
big loop.
and then goes down
Right
in
in
that
the hole.
cave,
So
that
cool.
supposedly cave.
And then I just remember everybody in the theater just was creeped out when they were like, "What's that noise? Why is the ground all moist?"
Yeah, we were like,
Well-
what the hell?
Well, just the Minox alone.
Oh
Yeah.
I thought because it was the one was like on the glass on the window, and Leia's like screaming, and 3PO's like, ah.
Yeah.
It's like,
3PO's always in distress. He's always
oh yeah.
the nervous Nelly,
But that one just cracks me up. But yeah, when they have to, you as soon as Han like figures it out,
Mhm.
you're like, he just
Get in the
shoots
car.
his blaster, and he's
We're
like,
leaving. We're leaving.
get in, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And Han's like hitting on the princess all through the freaking
Oh, yeah.
chase and stuff. I mean, he's like all over her. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, this back.
Solo's got game, man. He
Yeah.
just does.
And she's trying to fight it. She's trying to fight it, but she can't help herself.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so good. And then when they, when they finally do, they escape the monster, they're back into the asteroid field again, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and he just goes like full bore right at the Star Destroyer, and then just disappears.
And then that one guy was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, he's like,
fuck,
I'll
we
tell
lost
Lord
him.
Vader myself, and he's just like
Ugh.
thump on the ground after he
You know
gets
what?
killed.
I never did understand that. I wouldn't tell Vader shit if he's got the dark side and let him figure it out.
Oh, I'd take one of my subordinates
He
and
would
say,
know.
I need you
Yeah.
to deliver this message.
Yeah. I wouldn't tell him shit. I was like,
Oh, I would lie.
I'll take responsibility and inform Lord Vader. What?
Yeah.
You're a moron.
Yeah, it's
You know?
like,
Haven't you seen what he's done to the
Yeah.
half the staff here?
well, see, you should say that and then just make your way down to the escape hatch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and just bail. just
Yeah.
get
Do we have
out of
any
there.
other
I
dudes
jacked
that
up.
think your way?
I jacked up Lord Vader.
Yeah.
Out the door you go. I mean, this dude, I mean, I
Jump
never
in the
did
ship,
understand.
Take off.
I never- And
Quit.
especially the second guy that he puts in command, because he sees him kill the first one.
Oh yeah.
And then what's he do? He does the same thing. Oh, I'll
Uh,
take responsibility and inform Lord Vader. What?
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey,
Not too many.
Vader's got anger issues,
Yeah.
man. So it's like, no.
Yeah, he's killing people left and right. I mean, and you're gonna go, no. It just never made sense to me. There are not too many bright people on the dark side there, I guess, on the Empire side.
No. I would have
You know?
blamed one of my subordinates
Yeah.
and then shot him and say, I already
Yeah.
shot him and killed him. It'll never happen again, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you got to start looking at self-preservation at some point.
Especially around that asshole. I mean,
Oh, man. I mean, talk about. It's rough being middle management as it is, but
Yeah.
it's just like no, thank
Yeah,
you. It's like that's like a job you never want to get a promotion. You're like,
Yeah.
nope. I'm good down here at the trash compactor with my one-eyed buddy.
Yeah.
yeah, you're in command. No, Vader.
no.
I
really don't
want
think I'm
no.
qualified for that.
Nope.
Man, no, I'm
I'm
supposed
just
to
a
retire.
technician.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to retire in 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Now you know I'm
Yeah.
gonna die. Oh.
You got issues, you deal with them, but I'm
He's
not.
like,
I'm not.
Yeah.
Are we still giving you a pension?
Oh, but you know
Yes.
what? But that was the best
gonna
part
die.
there. Is like, because after they lose him, you know, they do a little jump back to Dagobah in the swamp, and then they come back again, and it's you know, the commanders, and they're like, bounty hunters, you know, we don't need those scum, you know, and it's just like,
yeah.
and then you see just the most hodgepodge collection of badass looking creatures
Mm-hmm.
up here on that little walkway, you know,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, that is so cool. And that's when you can see Boba Fett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
You
first
know,
time you get to see
First
Boba
time
Fett.
outside of the holiday special, of course.
Right,
Um,
right.
But yeah, so you get to see Boba Fett. You get to see, you know, what is it, Bosk and IG-88, and there's just a whole bunch of different,
Yeah.
you know, bounty hunters and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, and all of them will eventually get their own little action figures and comic spin-offs and
Yeah.
everything
Oh, yeah.
else. But it was just such a
Yeah, by this time,
rich tapestry of
by
characters.
this time,
up
Lucas
there.
is making bank on the toys.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
he's
Oh.
just making.
He,
Bank.
he basically just stole my allowance for like decades.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
me
I was
too.
like, all right, just take my money, George. But I didn't care. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But
two,
yeah, but
two important things you guys are missing also during this segment of the movie of Han and Leia and all them trying to, you know, escape from the Empire. We get to see the Emperor's face for the first time. Am I correct? Right?
yeah.
And then,
Well,
of course, you also see
You
Vader's.
don't. You kind of
bald
see
head.
the side of it.
It's a
his
bit of a
face.
profile, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just the.
Well, you know what? Now, and that's where it gets a
he's
little
got
confusing
he's got a
because
hood on too.
at the time, if I'm not mistaken, I think at the time you actually saw his face. And then I believe they came back later on and they changed it when Lucas went back through and did some of the revisions on the
Oh,
different
really?
movies.
I couldn't.
So that it was Ian McDermott's face as
Oh.
opposed to the kind of mask or whatever that they had
Oh,
on
yeah.
some other actor. So they kind of changed it up at some point, and that's where it gets a little convoluted because they went back, you know, and they made like little tweaks here, and then 2 years later made a tweak here, you know, and just changed a lot of that stuff up.
Right.
So I'd almost have to go back and look at the original version
Yeah.
to kind of remember that. But I do remember them coming back with just Ian McDermott, you know, as Palpatine. And I really did like it. I thought it was a good change. But yeah, I remember seeing the face and being like, ooh, that's kind of ugly. And then you're like, oh, that's not really him. And then they go back and change it and you're like, oh, it is him.
Well,
It's
and then
just weird.
You also get to see Vader without his helmet.
Yeah.
Remember? And then that's the first
Yeah.
time you see that he's got scars all over his head.
Yeah, it's just like that
You know,
pale,
it's
white.
it's like they're working on him, giving
skin.
him he's at the doctor or something. They're giving him a little workout or whatever.
It's
You
just
know,
a little
he's all
freaky.
he's all jacked up.
He's getting checked for colon cancer.
Yeah.
I'll be right down. Oh,
These pipes
don't
are-
laugh.
No wonder he's a
pipes are
grouchy
clean.
bastard.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
But yeah, so that is kind of a freaky little scene because you know you're
Yeah.
always like, was he a robot? What is
Yeah.
he?
Well, even
Yeah.
the
Oh, no, he's a person.
the
You know,
admiral or whatever that went and saw that, he kind of gives like a gross face.
Yeah,
How the
yeah.
fuck he
Kinda
didn't die after that?
disturbing.
Nasty
Like,
mother.
ugh.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, he should have
Yeah.
died right then and there.
Yeah.
No wonder you're pissed off killing
Yeah.
people all the time.
Yeah.
Look at this dude.
Could have looked at him and said, "It's like if you just came into the stall and saw me shit in front of you." And then he just
Jeez.
fucking crushes his neck.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, one of the coolest escape scenes ever literally was the Millennium Falcon
Yeah.
going full speed and then basically just stopping and clacking on, basically just landing on that Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm. Cloaking
then-
itself. It kind of cloaked
Well, yeah, it
itself.
was just hiding on the
Yeah.
Star Destroyer. Then when they dump the garbage, which of course Leia makes the appropriate joke, which is really funny, but it just shows, it kind of ties back into standard Imperial procedure because Han Solo was an Imperial pilot at one point.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, this is what you do. So he knew, how to escape. And you're
Mhm.
just like, oh man, that is so clever.
Yeah.
And whew, there he goes, takes off, and you're like, yeah, that was awesome. Good escape. And then you're like, oh, because Boba Fett,
It didn't-
Slave One, just powers up right behind him and
Yep.
whoop, takes
Yeah,
off directly after him.
Didn't fool Boba.
Didn't fool him at all. You're just like, oh no, it's like where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course, when they go to the Cloud City,
Yeah.
and they meet.
Cloud City was gorgeous.
Yeah, when you
It was
get
so
to see Lando, Han introduces Lando, one of Han's friends, scoundrel friends.
Right.
Had a little shady. He's just as a scoundrel as Han. I mean, they're really. You can see why they were friends because they were both, that kind of.
Well, yeah, they're competitors,
Mhm.
but they're like, because to me, I never felt like they were really good friends. They just seemed like they were competitive, like friendly competitors.
Right.
Because especially if you win the Millennium Falcon in a
in a poker
in a
game.
card game,
Yeah.
so I could see where that tension was there. They're kind of like frenemies, they're just
Right.
kind of like button heads and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams was so
I loved him.
cool, man. He was so smooth.
So
And there's
cool.
nobody smoother than Billy D. Williams.
Oh,
I mean, there's
no, not
nobody,
at all, man.
nobody smoother.
You put him in Star Wars,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh hell, he'd give James
Yeah.
T. Kirk a run for
Yeah,
his money.
I'm
in Star
surprised he
Trek,
didn't take
It's
Leia
like,
from Han.
I'll-
He's so smooth.
I'll tell you
Dude,
what, he
you know.
could have.
Yeah, if
I could
there's one-
sit there and listen him read the phone book.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
But then you were like, "What the f, man?" When he opens up that door and
when
Vader-
Vader's in there, everybody's mouth just drops.
Oh yeah.
And then
know,
the way
man.
Han
well, when
Han
3PO
reacts.
gets blown up,
Yeah,
and
you were
they-
like,
and
what
they
the hell?
find him in pieces later on,
Yeah.
and you're
What are
just
you
like,
doing here? And then they shoot. They shoot him.
yeah, well, because the voice sounds like a stormtrooper. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh no, they're stormtroopers, and and 3PO gets blown up.
Yeah.
And they have to find him later on before he gets melted down.
Billy D's, you having trouble with your droid?
yeah,
Or what?
I mean, it's
okay.
fine. What do you ask?
Yeah. And then Chewbacca goes finds him in the trash.
Yeah,
The trash, and he's.
had the little
You know.
Ugnaughts there. They're trying to melt.
But
him
yeah,
down.
and then
Yeah, they're gonna
when-
throw him in fire.
You
lock
don't
on.
realize that Vader's on there until they open that door, and then when Han
Oh.
looks and he starts shooting at him, and Vader just coolly puts up his hands and taking these blasters. I mean, just stuff,
deflecting him.
just deflecting him, and then pulls the gun like it's no big deal.
You're like,
Yeah.
I think this guy's good.
Yeah, and then they go and torture Han. And he's
Let's make him sit down. for
That
dinner
was funny.
first.
yeah.
When he sits there, and
Yeah.
where you hear outside of the thing with Han yelling, he's like, "Hey, hey!"
Yeah,
That's so funny.
But for me, other than the training,
I think you may be the only person that laughed at the torture scene.
yeah, no kidding. Everybody else was like, "Damn."
It was funny. Go back and listen to that yell of his.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. I didn't find it funny at the time. I was like, oh my gosh.
Act like he just fell off the Cloud City or something. I thought,
Like he slipped, he
It's
tried
like-
to catch his balance, and
like,
he falls.
dude, have some fucking
Yeah.
man up, Han. I mean, God, it's not that bad.
All right. So,
Well, but this is something where I will say, when they went back and they did the changes in the different films, when they went back to Empire Strikes Back and they went to the Cloud City and they created, instead of all the big white walls, they put in
windows.
giant windows
Yeah.
where you could see
Yeah,
the rest
yeah.
of the city. You could see the clouds and ships and stuff flying by. That opened up that space so much, tied it so much into the exterior. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember them just talking about it, how it was just not something that they could really do at the time.
Right.
And they kind of came back after the fact, and they were able to bring in all those colors, and so you get those really pretty pink and orange kind of lighting effects in the hallways, reflecting through the glass and stuff. Really beautiful stuff. So that was one of the best upgrades for the movies.
Yeah.
When they went back and redid them, was that particular thing.
But other than the training scene, the fight between Vader and Luke, when they have the lightsaber fight.
Wait, can I, before we get to
Yeah,
that part,
yeah.
question. Do you know why wasn't it true that Harrison Ford said, I'll come back and do it, but you got to kill me? And they said, well, we can't kill you, but we'll freeze you in some sort of coffin or something like that.
Well, I think he wanted to die in the third movie.
Was it the third
It
movie?
was the third movie, yeah. 'cause
He
this
was,
one
he was
supposed
always
to be-
wanting to get killed in the movie. He's been wanting
Yeah,
Han Solo
he's-
to die forever. you
Yeah,
know.
he likes a good death scene.
And then before, like, good thing you stopped me, Dave, because remember the scene when they're about ready to freeze him. You know,
Right.
they put him down in the carbonite, and Leia she says, "I love you," and he looks at her and he goes, "I know." You know, the cockiness and the director talks about that. They were having trouble with that scene because they kept having him say, "I love you too," and he kept saying, "Cut it." It's just,
Oh,
it's
no
just,
shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's-
yeah, they couldn't get the right
they
phrasing.
couldn't get the right phrase, and the director finally said, Harrison, let's just shoot this, and you just come up with something. And so she goes, "I love you," and that's when he goes, "I know," and the director said, "That's it."
Oh, yeah.
That's
It sounds like something he would say.
yeah. That's it.
It really does, though.
I was pointing to Scott too.
Yeah.
That's something I'd say.
Yeah.
And he said, "That's it. That's the essential character of Han Solo right there." You know, saying that I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, I mean,
yeah,
cocky-
yeah.
Well, and plus that part where you see her hugging on Chewie, you just realize, like, fuck, man, this is kind of serious, and
Oh yeah,
you could tell that she really did care for him,
Yeah.
just by the look of sheer terror.
Well, Han knew it all along.
Well, true, but
I mean, he's got his
That-
girl and his dog just crying over him.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
so-
holy.
that was the thing,
Yeah.
man. Everybody
The
wanted a Wookiee, you know. It's like, man, I wish
3PO
I had
asked
a
you,
Wookiee.
Chewbacca, can you turn around so I can see what's
Yeah,
going
what's going on? I can't see
Chewbacca's
Chewbacca.
like,
Turn
"Shut
around.
I mean, he just kills it
Yeah.
with the tension
Yeah.
of that scene, and
Yeah, that
And
is
then-
one of the classic lines, though, just of all time.
Oh yeah.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
what the f is going to happen to these people? Because I mean,
It's so much better than
Billy
Love
D,
You Too, you know?
Lando, you're like, Lando ain't going to help him. He betrayed them, and then Lando, kind of, you see like in the background, like, well, maybe he'll change his mind because he keeps getting screwed from the deal.
Yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
was forced to do all that shit. You know. I
Yeah,
mean,
you could tell he didn't want to.
he didn't want to. It was just, you know, he was put in a bad position.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what is he going to do? You got Vader eating dinner over in his place, you know.
Yeah.
And he's
Vader's
off.
over there, like, make me a sandwich
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bring me a beer, and,
Yeah.
you know.
Basically made Lando
Please
his
tell
bitch
Mrs.
Yeah.
Lando
Oh, yeah.
that I loved her.
Until they got there,
artichoke
you know.
coats.
So.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's it's one of those things where he finally is just like, you know what, screw it. Yeah, and he just gets that. You could just kind of see he's not somebody who he likes to do things his own way. But
Right.
when people are like forcing him to do something, he's just like, no.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the cool things about Lando's character. You know, he's just like, oh yeah, you gonna push me to do this? Guess what I'm gonna be? I'm gonna be a general in the next film because that's how much I don't like you now. You know, and it's just
Yeah.
like he just completely flipped that whole character.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and then but I'll tell you what, it was awesome when he takes those cuffs off at Chewie, and Chewie's just like starts
Oh, my
choking
God.
him. It's like just
Oh, that
choking
brings
him.
me up to the next conspiracy. Why do they go from calling Han to Han?
Because that's the way Billy D pronounced it.
Uh-huh.
But
he
it
just called
wasn't.
him Han.
But it wasn't just. I mean, it was like I think Leia called him Han, or
No, she called him Han.
I think Han, yeah.
Yeah, Billy D just called him Han. I mean, it just
no, I thought somebody else did.
it's not that big of a conspiracy. I don't think. I think it's just a pronunciation. You know, they just. Plus, he's Billy D. He can call him whatever.
Well,
he
no,
wants.
I'm saying,
yeah.
yeah, he's the
Plus, he's
creme
kind
de
of
la
like
creme. He can do whatever he wants.
he's kind of like your buddy that just calls you whatever they want to call you, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
You were gonna
happens.
call me something. That was your cue. Come on, man. Read the room.
No,
Jeez.
we got to get to the.
Read the room.
So when Luke ends up going to Vader and they finally have their lightsaber duel, that's
You're
my-
on edge with like the doors opening up.
Yeah,
and all that shit.
I mean, it's spooky, you know.
Well, see, for me though, it was when Luke's trying to save Han, and he comes up across Boba Fett. Boba Fett's taking a couple pot shots at him, and at this point in time, that Lando and Chewie and Leia are all trying to catch up to Han, and they're drawing Luke in. They're leading him that way, But
Right.
it's just that whole. It's like, oh, there he is, go rescue him, but they don't, and then later on when the other three catch up to him and they're like, he's getting on the ship and they're trying to stop him but he gets away, that's just that whole, oh no, the good guys failed,
Yeah.
part of it all.
Very depressing sequel there.
No, but it was so good.
But
But anyways,
no,
yeah,
I
but
got
so,
you.
yeah,
it's
but
the
they're-
middle act. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the middle act's always.
No, you're right.
But yeah, so
but-
they're luring Luke in. They're
And then when he first goes up and you see Vader there and he's got his lightsaber out, all waiting for Luke, kind of like he did with Obi-Wan a little
Yeah.
bit, waiting for
Yeah.
him, and you hear that breathing and stuff, and you look up and you see Vader there, and what he says something I can't remember how he says that in the movie. You've learned much, or no, I can't remember what he says to him when he says, you've learned much, young Skywalker, or something like that. He says,
Yes,
but
but
you
you-
are not a Jedi yet.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
You
that.
know.
Oh, something else we forgot to mention before he gets to
well, this,
Cloud City is the conversation between Obi-Wan and Yoda, about the big reveal when he's like flying off to Cloud City.
oh yeah, well,
Oh
there's-
yeah,
Because I thought-
because
there's
Obi-Wan's
another Skywalker.
yeah, Obi-Wan's or Yoda says, or Obi-Wan says that boy's our last hope,
That's what it is.
and Yoda said no,
No,
there
there's
is another.
Yeah. Well, they don't say Skywalker.
They
at the
say
time,
there's
just say
another.
There is another.
There is another. Yeah. And now we're back. Let's get back.
Well,
yeah,
they
I
got that-
forgot about that there.
Yeah. Well, because you've got that, which is that big hint, that big, oh, is there going to be another character? What's
Yeah,
the,
what's this
what's
all
this
about?
twist going to be? But when they lure Luke in, and the thing that I always remember about that is because that's when Luke turns his lightsaber on first,
Right.
and it's like, no, he's going the aggressive route.
Did he turn his light? You mean
Yeah.
Vader didn't have his out already? Okay, I was wrong.
Vader had his lightsaber, but he didn't
but
have
he
it
didn't
on.
have it on. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And so Luke
I
turns
thought he
his
did.
on first, which you're
Mhm.
like, oh no, because
And then
that's
then
the
Vader-
aggressive side, and then Vader's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's how you're
And
going.
then I love how Luke, when they first start fighting, he's like got two hands and Vader's just one hand in it.
Oh,
you know what I
just
mean?
Perry.
Yeah,
Perry.
he just, like who's this?
Just
what are you,
toying
a
with
little,
him.
like in Legend? What are you, a little boy? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
He's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Vader. He's like, Luke's got two hands and he's like, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know.
so was they trying to not kill him, but take him to the Emperor, right? Or was they
Well, that
trying
was
to
the
carbonate
right.
him?
That
Well,
was the.
I think he realizes at that point, it's like after he blows up the Death Star, and of course they find out, who it is Luke Skywalker, and he's just like.
But he
"Oh,
did
wow."
want to. He did want to put him in carbonite like Han and take him to the Emperor.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
gonna. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the whole point, was to
Yeah.
freeze him and then
Freeze
take him
him
in
and
front
take
of the
him.
Emperor.
Because that's why they tested it on Han to see if he would survive, so they could do it to Luke,
I
Yeah.
forgot
so he
about
could
that.
take him to the
But
Emperor.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Vader was just kind of like, well, let me see if this kid's even worth saving.
Let's see what he. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
So if you're my kid, how are you at this?
Well, you
so
don't know.
really-
You don't know that.
Well, no,
at
you
this
don't.
point.
You don't know that.
But
at
he's
that
just
point.
like, so let's see what he's got. Let's see what Obi-Wan's taught him. Let's see how far
Yeah.
he's gotten. And that's one of the things he says. Obi-Wan has taught you well. You
Yeah.
know. As
Well,
a-
because he does kick him off the platform
Right.
at one point,
right.
and he's like, it's pretty good. He's like, well, I'm full of surprises. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're not.
Oh, I know what he said when he first comes in. He says, "You've learned." Oh gosh, dang! And now I messed up again. Never mind.
You learned a lot from
You've learned much. You've learned much, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet. I like the
There you
way
go.
James Earl Jones does the dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh,
you were
yeah.
not a Jedi yet. You know.
Well, James Earl Jones is just the bomb,
Yeah. What a
man.
tribute
That guy is
to
just
that
the
guy.
best.
Yeah.
He could have spent the rest of his life not doing a damn thing and,
Yeah.
and gone to every convention and
Oh,
a multimillionaire, never had to work a day in his life.
Yeah.
But he just nailed that voice.
Yeah, I mean, and then as far as Luke, I mean, as they're going through, they're doing the fights, but there's one point where it kind of turns after Luke had kicked Vader off that thing. He had kicked him off, and then Luke's walking down the corridor, and all of a sudden, Vader comes out with this vengeance, like this mean,
Oh
like
yeah,
like
just starts
violent,
wailing
very
on him.
violent wailing on Luke, and Luke's trying to, because it's like he got pissed.
Yeah.
When he got pissed, he said, "Okay, now I'm done jacking with you. I'm gonna kick your ass.
We'll put you in your place real quick.
Yeah, I'm
here.
gonna kick your ass now." And he comes out of this violent, and then Luke kind of hits him and hits him in the arm a little bit. And he's like,
kind of a little
"Ah!"
shoulder pauldron.
Yeah. And then when he goes and he cuts Luke's hand off, that was a shocker.
Well, yeah, but even before then, he was, taking the piping, and boxes
using
and the crates and just throwing him.
he
you
was.
know,
I think he's
Just
like,
using the force,
this
he's
kid,
like thump.
this kid don't know how to do shit.
Yeah, just all the body blows
Well,
to it.
he was fighting dirty.
Oh, yeah.
He's fighting dirty.
Well,
Yeah,
he's like you said, it's like, but that's another thing that you never saw. You saw
Right.
Luke kind of like lifting rocks, on Dagobah, which
Right.
is something.
Well, you did
which
see
kids are like,
Yoda-
oh, that's kind of cool.
You did see Yoda pull the
Right.
X-wing fighter out of the swamp.
Yeah, but you didn't really see those things being used in combat. So when he
No.
started like ripping pipes off the wall and like slamming them into Luke,
And
you're
that's
just
one
like,
thing. Luke
wow.
wasn't prepared for that.
No,
For the dirty
not-
fighting.
not
like
at
that,
all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't.
knocks him out the window, and that's when he lands
He
on that
didn't know
platform.
he didn't know his enemy. He didn't know who he was messing with.
No, he really
You
didn't.
know, he really
Kinda
didn't.
Got cocky.
Yeah.
Don't get cocky.
Yeah.
So did you guys crap your pants when he tells them that he was his father?
Well,
I didn't believe him. I don't think I believed him. Like what?
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
just
I don't think
remember.
anybody did.
I just remember because, like you said, like Vader was just going at him, just bam, 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 just relentless, and he
I think-
deflects it, and then boom, arm goes off, railing gets cut through. Luke screams. You see his hand falling and the lightsaber falling, and he's like clutching onto that stuff, and he's crawling as far away as he can, and I'm just sitting there going, how's he get out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just like
You're like, what's
oh,
gonna happen here?
Dang, what's he gonna do? And then you get the real
Then
dramatic scene.
Vader's telling him, "You don't know how important you are to the Emperor." And Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
Yeah.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him. He says, and the way he takes his fist, doesn't he? Like that? Doesn't he take his fist up and he goes, "No, I am your father."
Yeah.
I think it was more of
What-
a
where
we
is
can
it?
we can rule.
Yeah,
We can rule the galaxy together.
And Luke's like,
father
"No,
and
that's
son,
not possible." He starts screaming, "No!" and
So you
I-
search your feelings.
Yeah,
you
you know
that
it's
it's true.
true.
Yeah, and when you're in the audience, you're just sitting there going, "No!"
Yeah.
You're like doing the same thing.
You're thinking. I thought he was tricking him. I thought he was playing a trick on him.
Everybody
Yeah,
did.
everyone
Yeah, I thought he was tricking him. I thought there's no way this. How could he be Luke's dad? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Cut off his hand?
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really wild because then, Luke's ultimate response is he kind of sucks it up and just lets go.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
like,
I'd rather
what,
die
if
than be your
if
son.
If that's my
Yeah.
choice,
Then Luke's like Obi-Wan. He's talking to Ben. Ben, why didn't you tell me? you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, why didn't Kenobi say shit?
Yeah.
Quit talking in riddles and tell me what the hell's going on.
And at that point, everyone's pretty much left, right? At that point, Boba Fett's gone. He's taken off in the Slave One. Han Solo's gone. They can't catch up to him. They're fighting their way back to the Millennium Falcon.
And then to get away, Luke jumps off the.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're already flying away.
Yeah.
And that's when Luke is now how he didn't die I still don't know, but he basically goes
he
on
didn't
this.
He did. He's got the Force still, buddy.
Oh, I know. It's like the cosmic slip and slide where he just kind of goes.
Well, yeah.
And he just happens.
But you wanted me to go splat, and that's the end of the.
No, I really didn't. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Well, he's got the Force.
But people thought he was going to die because they already mentioned, there's another person that's going to help us.
Even
out.
with one hand flying down through the air as that stub as he's going down there.
Oh yeah, and then by the time he actually stops, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then the hatch opens. It's like you just happened to land on a hatch, dumbass. And then he's like hanging by those antennas.
Yeah, and he's
by his legs.
Ben.
Yeah,
and then he
because Ben already told him that he wasn't going to be there to help him. He goes, I can't help you.
And then that's when he starts using the Force and call him for Leia.
Yeah.
Leia. It's like.
Yeah, and then she's like turn around. And,
Billy D.
like,
What is what? Did you see Sam Jackson playing that part as Lando? Bitch, what are you talking about? I got to turn the Millennium around. We ain't doing shit,
I'm tired of all these motherfucking Jedi. Motherfucking
I'm sick of
Falcon.
My name is the Lord.
Yeah. I will strike down on Vader with great vengeance.
Yeah, but see, as cool as he is, he's not smooth like Billy D.
That's true.
So Billy D. Williams had he's a smooth guy. But he was just like, all right. And he just like turns it around.
There's nobody.
Well, doesn't Leia say, Chewie, we're turning it around, and Chewie's like,
There's nobody smoother than Billy D.
He was so cool. That movie, man.
Even his TV commercials were smooth. It's just
man.
So cool.
But so when so they go through there, they're Luke's basically just got to like free fall. He probably drops 20 feet, smacks onto the roof of the Falcon, and they drag him inside. But it's really amazing that it does that as well as it does. I mean, he just gets the crap beat out of him through the whole movie. The whole movie, he just gets beat to hell.
Yeah.
And he winds up with the fake hand at the end.
Yeah, they put the mechanical hand on him.
Yeah, and he's there with Leia, and they're, and then here's Lando and Chewie leaving to go get Han.
Yeah.
And it's like they're already splitting up again, and they're trying to figure out what to do, which really leads to one of the best intro segments for any movie.
The best cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, but like the first 15-20 minutes of Empire is real quality entertainment.
Oh yeah,
so
it's my favorite of the original three. I mean, hands down.
Yeah. But Empire, just a great film.
Yeah. How many times did you guys see it in the theater?
I want to say at least 5.
Yeah, I saw it more than Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
because they re-released it like a couple of years after originally released, and because I remember my mom took me and my brother to see it again. And
Yeah. Well, every time they I remember going and then going again, and then it's like anyone who could get me there, we were there. And then when it was at the dollar theaters, we're at the dollar theaters. So and then every time they did a new version of the film, we had to do that.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
wonderful
Sorry if this one took a little longer than the others, but
no, it was good.
It's our favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's my favorite too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
just a fun.
Sorry we
fun
geeked
movie.
out too much for you, but
it's just a fun movie.
Yeah. Now I'd like to bring up Dave's final thoughts for the new segment of the show. Today we talked about.
Did we vote on this?
Empire Strikes Back, and
Hey, wrap it up, Grace.
Talk louder.
All right,
Yeah,
fine.
What are you starting to whisper like a little creep?
Yeah, come on.
That's not creepy. That's sexy, like Lando.
Sexy. How do you think that's sexy?
Fucking like Han, man. I mean, Han.
Yoda whispering in your ear, I can understand, but you sound like a creeper.
Oh my god.
I mean, damn.
Anyway,
Whatever.
Deep thoughts with Dave. What you got?
That's it.
What?
Well, we're,
You just wasted our time for like another 30.
oh my
45
gosh,
seconds.
people find it
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah, they do. I've never seen a comment yet that says that.
I've seen like 50.
Your sister doesn't count there, Dave.
Hey, at least she bothers to enter something 50 times. That,
Yeah,
that,
no
that means
kidding.
something. So, anyway, you were saying.
Have a good holidays.
There you go. That's pretty fucking deep, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. We're glad we